For starters, my younger brother Brad and I have had something of an adversarial relationship. Our parents tended to favor Brad, mostly because he was a boy and he would carry on the family name and more than likely one day take over the family restaurant too. It wasn't like they really didn't ever pay attention to me, but he was always favored. When he turned 16, he was given a car while I had to take the bus. They even said that they were willing to pay for him to go to college while I needed to save up and pay for my own. However, that was only the tip of the iceberg. Hey Dad, I know that you have me serving tables, but can I do something that makes a bit more money? Like hostess or maybe help you with bookkeeping?
No, Stephanie. I need someone to serve tables. Besides, your brother needs to help me. That way he can learn about how to run the restaurant.
Well, what about me? Shouldn't you teach me those things too? That way, if Brad doesn't want to take over, I can help you with it.
Don't be stupid, Stephanie. Brad knows what's best for him and for the family. He will take over and do great things with the restaurant.
Hi there. My name is Stephanie, and do I ever have a story for you? The truth of the matter is that I don't exactly come off looking great in the end, though. You see, I have a strange relationship with my family. For starters, my younger brother Brad and I have had something of an adversarial relationship. Our parents tended to favor Brad, mostly because he was a boy and he would carry on the family name and more than likely one day take over the family restaurant too. It wasn't like they really didn't ever pay attention to me, but he was always favored. When he turned 16, he was given a car while I had to take the bus. They even said that they were willing to pay for him to go to college while I needed to save up and pay for my own. However, that was only the tip of the iceberg. Hey Dad, I know that you have me serving tables, but can I do something that makes a bit more money? Like hostess or maybe help you with bookkeeping?
No, Stephanie. I need someone to serve tables. Besides, your brother needs to help me. That way he can learn about how to run the restaurant.
Well, what about me? Shouldn't you teach me those things too? That way, if Brad doesn't want to take over, I can help you with it.
Don't be stupid, Stephanie. Brad knows what's best for him and for the family. He will take over and do great things with the restaurant.
It was so infuriating, but no matter how I asked, the answer was always no. And it wasn't like Brad wasn't letting it go to his head. He knew the pecking order, and he made a point of always rubbing it in too.
Oh, hey, sis. Listen, I scheduled you to work Saturday night.
Brad, you are not the boss. You can't just schedule me to work on the weekend because you don't want to.
Of course I can. After all, I'll be the boss one day, and you better get used to taking orders from me.
What makes you think I'll still work here when you take over?
Because you don't have a choice. Face it, Mom and Dad want me to take over because I'm smarter than you and a harder worker. So do as you're told and work the Saturday shift.
Oh, I was furious with him, but I just bit my tongue and waited until I was 18. I picked going to a culinary school, and I figured that if I would have to work at my family's restaurant, then I would at least be the chef. There was no way that I was going to be stuck serving tables for the rest of my life. When I went away to school, I found out that I really had a knack for cooking, and many of my professors told me that I was a natural. Part of the course had us traveling to different countries in the world to learn how to make the local cuisine, and I fell in love with making meals from different cultures. So much so that I began to make up a cookbook of all the recipes that I had learned, and it didn't take long for that cookbook to grow in size. By the time that my third year of school came around, I was feeling very confident in my abilities, and when I went home for the holidays, I told my family that I wanted to become the chef of the family restaurant. They did not react very well. However, my brother's girlfriend was the one that really made me question my choices. Hey guys, I've learned so much and my instructors tell me I'm a natural chef. I think by the time I graduate, that I'll be perfect for the restaurant.
Perfect how? Why would a waitress need to learn how to cook? Stephanie, someone as dumb as you only needs to know how to carry a tray of food and take drink orders. You're wasting your time.
Can you maybe stop being such a condescending prick, Brad?
Brad is right, Stephanie. We already have a chef. What we always need are wait staff. Maybe you should just quit school and come back and be a waitress again. Stop wasting time with this foolish dream.
Yeah, Brad is right. You're such a complete moron. Just listen to your dad and brother. They clearly know better than you.
You need to watch your mouth. You aren't family, and my patience with them is wearing thin if you don't back off. I'll make you eat your words.
Try me, bitch.
The next thing I knew, She slapped me and was getting ready to slap me again when I punched her and broke her nose. The whole family began screaming at me for ruining the holidays, and so I left and went back to school. For the remainder of my time in college, I never went home again and didn't keep in touch with any of them. After all, they pretty much had told me that they didn't think much about me, and so I just focused on making my own way. I knew that I really wanted to be a chef, but I also didn't really know if I wanted to work for someone. I really liked the idea of being my own boss for once in my life, and so after I graduated, I used what little money I had and bought a food truck. I came up with a few really solid foods I knew would sell well, and I parked myself in a crowded area downtown and made a go of it. The first few days, I didn't get a lot of customers, but the more people that came and tried my food, the more popular I got until I was selling out of food every day. People loved my food truck, and it got to the point where I needed to hire a few assistants in order to keep up with all the orders that I was getting. But before long, even that wasn't enough. By this time, I had made some good money, and so I invested it in a small restaurant and parked my food truck outside. I used the area around the truck as an outside patio while the restaurant inside catered to a more fine dining experience. In the span of a few months, my restaurant was the talk of the town, and I was beginning to face the idea that I could probably expand and have a couple more such locations. Things were really looking up when suddenly one day, my mother and father showed up. They looked like they were impressed with my restaurant, but were also very sad. "Hey, I never expected to see you two here. What do you want?"
Oh, Stephanie, we have terrible news. Your brother has passed away.
He and his girlfriend were driving one night and lost control of the car and died in a car wreck.
Oh my God, that's terrible. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yes, it is a great tragedy. We were counting on your brother to help us out, but now that he is gone, it all falls to you.
To me? What do you mean?
We need someone to take over the restaurant. We're getting old and can't do as much as we used to. It's a great responsibility, but once you sell your own restaurant, you will have plenty of time to take over the family business.
I had to assume that they were either high or delusional. I mean, why the hell would I ever give up my own restaurant? Something that I had built with my own two hands just to play second fiddle for them. No. Why would I sell my own business?
Well, it's not like you can run both places. Besides, our business is much better and can earn more profit for you.
If it's so profitable and better, then why haven't you expanded to more than one location? Mine is so popular that I am looking at building 2 new locations very soon. So the answer is no. I'm not going to bail you two out just because your number 1 pick passed away. I mean, let me be clear. I mourn for Brad's passing, but I'm not going to give up on my dream just so you two can treat me like a consolation prize and give me everything you promised, Brad. Thanks, but no thanks. After that, I had security escort them out of the restaurant. They never actually came back for several years. On the rare occasion, they would call to say hi and ask if I had reconsidered, and while I was friendly on the phone, I always refused their offer. Until one day, the two of them were far too frail to keep running their restaurant, and so they came and begged me for one last time to take over. I agreed to do so on the condition that they allow me to find them a nurse to stay with them, since they were far too old to keep working and needed to retire. They then transferred sole ownership over to me so that I could take over their business. I could only assume that they were no longer mentally feeling fit to run the business. And so my parents relented and agreed to let me take over and made me promise that I wouldn't put them in a home and that I would work alongside them to keep the business afloat. The second, after my name was put on as the owner of the restaurant, I broke my promise and had them both placed in an old age home, one that wasn't exactly known for being a good place to live. The next thing I did was gut the restaurant for anything of value and then sell off the building. By the time my parents knew what was happening, the building was already sold, and their business was no more. My parents were truly shocked at what I had done, but I didn't care. After all, they were far too old to retaliate, and I wanted to make them understand how badly they had made me feel throughout my life. And sadly, the only way to do that was to crush their dream of the restaurant being passed down through the family. Few weeks later, I heard my mom was beaten by one of the workers in the old people's home because she had insulted him several times. Serves her right. Do you think what I did was bad?